changed in the last couple of years so that good governance is now the top driver of restoring trust and all those other qualities in a company. The products and services is there, citizenship, obviously the performance of the company, the quality of the work environment, but governance and ethics has really reigned supreme. And one of the things that we do at MasterCard is take these insights and our own media monitoring analysis and try to really embed it in the business so that when our product group is developing cards for certain populations, we are able to warn them against the vulnerable populations. You know, college kids are getting too many cards too quickly. You know, don't create cards for them unless they're very simple. So, just in closing my summary opening remarks, reputation is very important. It's critical in our industry, and for those of your firms that do not offer some kind of reputation management and guidance for your clients, I would urge you to get into the business because this is going to be around for a while. Thank you.
Harvey, thank you. So I went to Ray first because I take Lipitor. I went to Harvey second because I carry a MasterCard credit card. I happen to be a stockholder in GE, so I've got to go to Gary now.
And regretting it. Thanks, John. So I was reading Ken's instructions to us on what we were supposed to talk about today, and we were supposed to open here for 5 minutes about the impact the economic crisis of the past year has had on our organization from a reputation standpoint. And you know, I got thinking about that on the way over here. It's sort of like being the losing coach in the Super Bowl and being interviewed after the game. There's really not much we can say about what's happened to our reputation over the past year. You know, if you're familiar with GE, we're half financial, so we've suffered from being in that neighborhood. And our stock has gone from, in the past 16 to 18 months, from about $40 a share to a bottom of about $6 a share. We've cut our dividend, we lost our AAA credit rating. So it's been a tough year. And our CEO said that in his letter to share owners this year. Jeff Immelt said that our reputation had been dented, and he takes responsibility for that. So it all sounds kind of bleak. You know, recently Forbes wrote a piece about us, and the little ear on the cover of the magazine was "GE, it's worse than you think," right? And that's always a great magazine to bring into the CEO. But my response to that is, no, it's not. You know, all of these companies up here are great companies. We're going through the toughest economic time that we've seen, and for a company like ours, both in the credit crisis and in the recession, it sort of was a 1-2 punch. But throughout that, we continued to develop products and deliver products to our customers that they love, technologies that are solving some of the world's toughest problems. We made $18 billion last year, and we're going to be highly profitable again this year. But you have to recognize the perception, right? Perception is reality in what we do. And so we've really, over the past year, said, you know, Jeff Immelt has said this is an economic reset. It's not a cycle, right? That the nexus of government and business is going to be permanently reset, and that the people's view of big companies is also going to be reset. So I've taken that to say we need a communications reset also in our company. And what we've tried to do over the past year is really find ways to humanize GE, to make it more about more than just our earnings and our balance sheet. It's about 300,000 people around the world who are really domain experts in their field and who have a passion for what they do, and again, delivering products that really change people's lives. And we've done that in a lot of ways, trying to reach retirees for the first time, personal communications with them. We've got 500,000 retirees from the company. It's an army of people who want to help us build our reputation. We're blogging now. It's sort of, I don't know if it's really a blog. It's sort of a news channel, half blog. We call it a clog at GE. But it's journalism is what it is. I've hired several journalists to come in. There's a lot of them available, by the way, John, journalists these days. And to practice.
And they're cheap.
And they're cheap. practice journalism about the company and to tell our story to different audiences and really sort of tailor our message to investors, customers, employees particularly. So in some ways, while it's been a tough year, it's also been liberating. For the communications function at GE, I think, ironically, our value has grown. We're, I think, a much more strategic function as a result of the crisis and the needs that the company has right now to tell its story in a comprehensive and compelling way. So I'm excited, actually. We've got some tough times ahead still, I think, through 2009. But I think the value, the strategic value that communications brings to a company's reputation, which is really who you are and how you do it, right? It's the sum of all the perceptions of your stakeholders. Our ability to influence that in a meaningful way, ironically, I think has grown during this crisis. And at GE, I speak only for GE. So I'm excited. I'm overworked. I'm tired. I hope our stock goes up. But I'm also excited about what's going on in communications.
Thank you, Gary. I hope your stock was up too. Absolutely. GE has to be one of the most widely held stocks in all of the world. So we're all rooting for you. 2 nights ago, I went to CVS to pick up my Kodak gallery pictures, so I think I need to go to Barbara.
Glad to hear it. Kodak entered this economic environment in a very different place than a lot of my colleagues up here. I guess I can start by asking how many folks here are familiar with the brand of Kodak? And how many of you currently use a film camera? Thank you. But I think that kind of underscores. We started our significant transformation in 2003. So we came into this economic crisis by coming out of 4 years of really aggressive transformation. So we are used to this kind of environment. We've been living it for several years now. So the economic crisis didn't bring a different way of thinking or of managing to Kodak. So it gives me an interesting perspective, I think, as to what we're seeing externally and how the economic environment has impacted the environment in which we as communicators are working. And I've got a case study that I'd like to very quickly share with you about what happened this February. And kind of reiterate a little bit of what Gary was talking about in his example of the media's response to where we all are as organizations. February 4th was our investor meeting for this year. 2008, the first 2 quarters of 2008, we were meeting expectations. We had just come out of 4 years of aggressive transformation, and we were hitting the goals and objectives that we had identified. And then 3rd quarter happened. And Kodak, as a consumer electronics company, is very affected by what happens in the 4th quarter. So much of our year is focused in the 4th quarter. So the 3rd and the 4th quarter happened, as we all know, as it happened. So by February, we had a pretty good idea of what 2009 was going to look like for us. We've been here before, as I said. We've had to give our shareholders some really tough information. We've had to make some tough decisions within the organization. So Antonio Perez and Phil Ferrasi, our CEO and our president, said to the media gathered and to our shareholders at the investor meeting, there were certain businesses within our organization, Kodak Gallery, one of them, our electrophotographic systems, and our commercial print side of the business, and our organic light emitting diodes, which is an up-and-coming technology that we're working on. They were businesses that needed transformation, and that they'd require additional investment in order to reach their full potential. So forgive me as I read for a moment, but I want to tell you exactly what Antonio Perez said. We are not thinking at this point in time of divesting any of the businesses. We think the better return will be if we can combine them or form an alliance or find a way to continue to be in those businesses without carrying all the investment and all the risk that we would have to do otherwise.